Hey guys, today I'm filming a full face of first impression video. If you guys have not seen one of these from me before, I'll have my playlist linked up in the cards. So what I like to do is at the beginning of the month, I choose a handful of random products that I want to test for the first time on camera with you guys. And then at the end of the month, in my monthly favorites and product updates, I give you my finalized thoughts on the products. That way we can give a first impression and a review on the products. So I'm really excited about everything that I have here today. So I will show you the items first before we get into the application. So I have a sample of the Tatcha Silk Canvas Primer. I've been wanting to try this so bad. It's so incredibly expensive, and I hope that between now and the holidays that Tatcha will release a mini version. I've seen a little mini in the sample set, but if they could just release a mini that we can buy individually, that would be awesome. I really hope I love this as much as other people do, but then at the same time maybe not because it's so expensive. But anyway, that will be my primer for today. My foundation is going to be the MakeUpForEver Matte Velvet Foundation. I had the MakeUpForEver Matte Velvet Plus in the past and it was just okay, but they didn't have a good shade for me. Then they discontinued that, then brought it back, and now all of the shades match the HD line, which is fantastic. My perfect shade is Y215. It's my perfect shade in the HD foundation, so hopefully it will be in this foundation as well. This product has been around for forever, but it is new-ish to me. This is the Smashbox Step-by-Step Contour Kit. Erin's Makeup Euphoria gifted this to me quite a few months ago, and I have been holding on to it for one of these videos. As I said, this is just a mini, but this is part of the Ultra 21 Days of Beauty right now as a hot buy for 40% off if you're interested. For blush, I'll be using the Becca Luminous blush in the shade Snapdragon, which is such a stunning color. It's going to be super pigmented, but I'm so excited to finally wear this blush that I picked up from the Ulta clearance. Next, we have a brow product. As you can see, I already have my brows filled in with pencil and powder, but usually I will go in with a gel to finish them off. So I wanted to try for the first time the Maybelline Brow Precise Fiber Volumizer in a blonde shade. I think that this was recently discontinued. I found it at TJ Maxx, but I know a lot of people really love it, so I wanted to give it a try. I just finished up my eyeshadow primer, so I decided I wanted to go through some of my samples, and this is a product that I have never tried before. It is the Smashbox Photo Finish Lid Primer in the light shade. I know Jay Kisser really loves this. For shadow, I'll be using the Lime Crime Venus 1 palette. This was also part of the 21 Days of Beauty, but unfortunately that deal has already passed. My friend Jean gifted this to me, so I'm really excited I will be able to try out their formula. I will also be testing out a new mascara to me. This is the Tarte Tarteist Lash Paint, which is also part of the 21 Days of Beauty. I did not do that on purpose. It just so happens that a lot of these things are. And then lastly, for lips, I have something that is actually relatively new because the rest of these products are not really new to the market, just to me. This is the Maybelline Shine Compulsion lipstick in the shade Spicy Mauve, and I'm really excited to try this formula. I do have one other shade, so I'll review both of them for you guys at the end of the month, but I didn't want to do a whole separate review on them, so I thought it'd be perfect to just throw one of them into this video, and I think this lip color will go really nice with the other products. So those are all of the products I will be trying here today, and of course I do have an assortment of other products here as well to actually give my full face, but those are items that I have already tried before, so let's just jump into the demo. So because I am testing out a primer and a foundation today, I'm just going to apply the Tatcha primer on this side of my face, and on the other side of my face I'll be using the Ordinary High Adherent Silicone Primer, which is just a basic primer that I use with a lot of my first impressions. This is what the little sample of the Tatcha primer looks like. It is so cute, and I can't wait to see how many uses I'll actually be able to get out of this. So it's a lot more putty-like than I expected. I know in the full size it comes with this little coin. It looks a lot creamier, so that's interesting. So I'm gonna press it into my pores and smooth it over. Ooh, this has a really nice light refreshing scent, which makes sense that's coming from a skincare brand. And I'm actually just gonna put this all over my face. I've heard that this just makes your skin look really flawless, but it isn't actually a pore filling primer. So I can apply this all over. Also today I do have a mattifying moisturizer on, so we'll see if this primer and that moisturizer work well together. Matte moisturizers can be a little tricky with primers. So this is gliding on really smoothly. It glides on really smooth, but it does not actually feel greasy like I would expect it to. And we will apply the Ordinary primer on the other side. So today I will be applying the foundation with both a brush and a sponge. I'm going to do the sponge side where I apply the Tatcha primer because that is how I typically apply my foundations. And then on the side with your ordinary primer, I will apply it with a brush. So as I said, I'll be using the Makeup Forever Matte Velvet Foundation in the shade Y215. So now that I have it dotted on this side of my face, I will go in with my Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge, and we'll see how easy this is to blend out over that primer. Actually not bad, which is good. I think I have to work it in to my skin a little bit, but I'm not really tugging. Looks like a good shade, maybe a tinge light, but maybe I've gotten a teensy bit of color from the summer. But here is one layer of foundation applied with the sponge versus no foundation. So it looks like it evened out my complexion overall. From what I remember, this foundation just had a medium coverage, but of course the coverage is always a little lighter with a sponge typically. So now moving on to the brush side. Now that I have that done on this side of my face, I'm gonna go in with my Sigma F80 Flat Top Kabuki. So I am just going to try to press it into my skin to get the most coverage. And that seems to be blending out really easily with a brush, which is nice. But again, this is on the side where I applied the ordinary primer, and usually that helps products glide on a little easier. So this is what the foundation looks like, one side applied with the sponge and the other applied with the brush. So on the brush side, it definitely did give more coverage. Right now, looking at my viewfinder, it feels like the sponge side is more of a light medium coverage and the brush side is more of a true medium, which is really nice. So I am going to apply one more layer on the sponge side and see if we get even coverage. So yeah, with 2 layers on the sponge side, I definitely think that was buildable to a nice solid medium coverage and matches the brush side pretty well. So I'm gonna stop there with the foundation. So I'm gonna be applying my concealer and setting powder off camera. Under my eyes, I'll be using the Tarte Shape Tape in Fair. I was gonna use my Estee Lauder Double Wear Concealer, but I wanna see how this foundation covers blemishes and redness on its own. To set my under eyes, I will be using the Cover FX Perfect Setting Powder, and then to set my entire face, I'll be using the ColourPop No Filter Setting Powder, which is a translucent shade that is not going to give me any color coverage or mattify me, and then I'll be right back. So now that concealer and powder is done, we are moving on to the Smashbox Step by Step Contour Kit. I'm going to take this brightening shade, which is a matte cream, and apply this under my eyes. So I'm hoping this won't be too dark for my skin tone, but we will see, and I'll just apply a bit. It does have a good bit of powder kick up in there, but let's see. No, I think that looks really pretty. That's nice. And I was gonna say, actually, if this is too dark for under my eyes, I can use this to help sharpen up my contour, which I might do anyway today, just so we can see how that works. So I'm just gonna take it down the center of my face to help brighten everything. And because this is a sample size, obviously the pans are a lot smaller than they would typically be, and they're usually round pans as well. So I will be going in with the middle shade for my bronzer, and I will be using my e.l.f. stippling brush. So I'm gonna pinch it just to stay in the bronzer color. And again, there is a good bit of kick up in the pan, which is fine. And I'll just dust this on my face. Nice. That's a good color. It's warm without being too orangey. So I definitely think that gave a really nicely bronzed look to the skin. It's a really good color and it blended out nicely, and it is a matte bronzer. Then going in with the contour shade, which is a little bit more cool tone of the two. And I'm going to apply it with my Sigma F05, a small contour brush, and tapping off the excess here. I'm just going to apply this in the hollow of my cheeks. Small circular motions and going back and forth. That's a nice color. The other really cool tone contour powder I have is NYX Blush and Taupe, the original version, and that one is a little too purpley for me sometimes. It's definitely looking really intense on this side, so I do like the contour color. It's not my most favorite, but the formula is nice. I really like the bronze and the matte highlight shade though. but maybe in the future for contouring, I'll try mixing both of the shades together. I'll update you, of course, at the end of the month. So just using my Real Techniques blush brush to blend over those. And then I'll go back in with the matte highlight shade under my cheekbones to help carve them out a bit, and that worked really nicely, but not too dramatic, which I appreciate. So now moving on to blush, we're gonna be using Becca's Snapdragon. This is obviously a really intense blush. I'm sure it's gonna be intense on me, but I wanted it so bad. It's such a beautiful color. So because it is gonna be a very pigmented blush, I'm gonna apply with my Sigma F15 Duo Fiber Blush Brush, which is my favorite for really pigmented blushes. And I just picked up a little bit there. Still gonna tap it off and bam. Oh, so pretty. You guys know how much I love those pinky coral blushes. Yes, yes, yes. And this is a luminous finish blush, so we'll see how shiny it looks on the cheeks. So yeah, definitely need a light hand if you're fair like me. You know what? I'm thinking when my makeup looks a little weird over here is when I'm touching my face, it doesn't feel like I set it the best right here with powder, which is why I think this is looking a little choppy. Oh, that's frustrating. I'm gonna go try to fix that really quickly, and I'm going to apply my highlighter off camera. I'll be using the Pure Afterglow. I thought it'd be a nice color with this, and then I'll zoom you guys in for the brows and eyes. So now I have you guys all zoomed in for the eyes and brows, so I think my blush and my contour on this side does look a lot better. I really don't like that ColourPop loose powder, but it's the only translucent powder I've been using for my face because I just used up my Dermablend and I haven't been able to repurchase it yet. So that is why my cheeks were looking a little blotchy on this side, because it wasn't set all the way. But let's look over here. This is the good side. So it's not the blush or the contour product's fault at all. It was really that powder, which just is frustrating. So now going in with the brow product. It is the Maybelline Brow Precise Fiber Volumizer in the blonde shade. I'm really excited to try this out. So many people love this. I'm a little nervous though. I don't want to glop it on, obviously, because I have a lot of brow product on. So this is what the applicator looks like. I can tell definitely that there are fibers on here. It has some teeth on it like a mascara wand, but they're shorter. Then it has a little bit of a dip in the center to hold extra product. The color looks really good though, so I'm gonna apply it on one brow so we can see the difference. Okay, this is really easy to apply. Alright, so what do you guys think? Can you guys see a difference between this brow with the Maybelline gel and this brow without? It definitely looks a little bit bolder. You can tell there's more pigment on my brows now, but I don't know if you guys can see it on camera, but in person it helped to really emphasize the brow hairs, which is what I like. I know my brows are always intense, but I don't want them to look too painted on. These are what both of the brows look like all complete. I can feel it on my brows. They feel slightly crunchy, which I don't really mind, but I'm noticing it more than I tend to notice other brow gels. I'm not sure if it's because of the fibers or whatnot, but I really like the way that it looks, and I'll be excited to test this out more to see how well this holds my brows in place. I feel like my brows need a brow gel, but they aren't particularly unruly once they're set. Unless I really touch them, they're not going to move. So I'm enjoying this so far. So now moving on to the eye product. So we have the Smashbox Photo Finish Lid Primer in the light shade. I got some on my fingernail here. It's really peachy looking, and I don't usually use a tinted eye primer, so I'm excited for that, to see how much it tints. So we'll definitely do a comparison of one eye with and one eye without. It is really thin and smooth and easy to blend out, like my Milani or the Urban Decay Primer Potion. It does seem like this does set down, so you want to move a little quickly with this, and it feels a little tacky, which is good for shadow purposes. So this definitely says light and not fair. It is darker than my skin tone, but it did help to cancel out the veining on my lids. Can you guys see a difference? So now that I have my primer on both eyes, I'm going to set the crease and under my brow bone with ColourPop Full Zip, which is just a matte cream shade, and then we will be ready for the rest of the shadows. I'm not going to set the lid. I'm going to leave that tacky to help the shadows stick a little better. So now I have my primer all set, and I do have to say that my crease still feels a little bit tacky. I had used a lot more of my eyeshadow than usual to set the primer, so I'm not that crazy about that. But hopefully that means the lid shade will stick really well. We will see. So on one eye, I'm going to apply a cream base, and on the other, I'm just going to use a shadow so I can see what difference it makes. So I will be using the Milani shadow as pencil and Champagne Toast as a base. And that's another reason why I don't, actually the main reason why I don't tend to set my lid is because I usually go in with a cream base to help intensify the color. Now I'm going in with the Lime Crime Venus palette. These colors are really saturated. I have an idea of what look I want to do, but I don't quite have a good transition color for me. So I'm going to go in with this corally shade Rebirth here. Try to pick up a little bit of product on this Morphe R40 brush, which is a really large blending brush. Just going to try to get a tiny bit of product. So it's not too crazy. That seems to be working pretty well. So just windshield wiper motions back and forth. It may have been better for me to try to use my regular eyeshadow primer on one eye and then the Smashbox on the other. But as I said, I'm out of the Milani primer, or else I would have done that. So in the future, I'll probably do that if I try out other eye primer samples. Then I'm going in with this Champagne shade Aura on my lid. This looks more like a satin finish. It doesn't have like an intense shimmer or shine. And I'm going to pack that on my lid with my MAC 239 flat shader brush. These shades are pretty powdery, and I do get a good bit of kick up in the pan, but as I said, that doesn't really bother me. So I'm just going to pack this on my lid first over the eye with the cream base. So it definitely does look a little more shimmery here, but it really just has a shine. It doesn't look like a foiled eyeshadow or anything. And then on the side that just has the primer. Honestly, that looks really pigmented and metallic too, which really has to do with the shadow itself. On the side with the cream base, I think it looks a little bit more pigmented. The shine shows up a little bit more, but this side with just the primer looks really good too. Then I'm going to take this warm orangey brown creation and use this as my crease color. Because it looks a little dark and pigmented for me, I'm going to apply it with my MAC 242 tapered blending brush. Usually I don't use this in my crease, but I think with this color it will be a good choice. So just windshield wiper motions back and forth, small circular motions to help blend it out. I'm gonna go in with a little bit more product to build it up on the outer portion. These eyeshadows are blending out really, really nicely. And this was like one of the original warm eyeshadow palettes. This came out forever ago. It came out before the modern renaissance that everybody attributes to be like the warm eyeshadow palette. This one doesn't have as many berry tones as that, and this one also has a couple cool tones that I don't see myself using, but the rest of them I think I would, and they're really pretty. I do think though that because these shades are so pigmented and they're a little bit more saturated in color, that they would work really well on a deep complexion and show up quite nicely. Then I'm going to go in with this matte burgundy color Muse, which is so beautiful, and I'm going to put this in my outer corner. And I'm also going to apply that with the MAC 242 tapered blending brush. I'm so excited for this shade. And just using this to deepen up the crease. This color is so freaking pretty and really pigmented, because a lot of time red shades like this are a little tricky to formulate. So nice. So I'm gonna go back in with that Champagne Aura shade on my finger to help intensify the color and shine. You can see here it has a glow to it, but it's just not super shimmery. But look at the difference when I apply a second layer with my finger. Really intense that way. Gosh, these shades are so pigmented, but yet they're still really easy to work with. I'm actually really impressed with the performance of these shadows so far. So this is what the palette looks like. It only comes with 8 shades. I don't think I'll be able to get the most versatile amount of looks with this palette, but I do think I can create some good go-tos. I can use these as supplemental shades with some different colors on the lid. I don't see myself getting the most use out of these two more cool tone shades. That one's too dark for me, and this one is just a little too gray, but I can see myself using all the other shades a lot. And I'm really impressed with how pigmented they were and how nicely they blended. So that's all I'll be doing with this shadow today, and I'm also not going to apply any liner. I'm just going to use mascara, and also this will be able to help you guys see the true effect of the mascara. Sometimes I feel like when I use liner and then mascara, it just doesn't show you the length or the volume as well. So just mascara today, and I'm using the Tarte Tarteist Lash Paint Mascara, and I think that these little samples just pull out like that, which I don't like as much as the twist off, but whatever, same difference. So this is a plastic bristle wand, which I do like, especially in combination with a natural bristle mascara wand. I'm using an Urban Decay Perversion right now, so I'll try those in combination, but today, of course, I want to use this on its own. So just applying this on my lashes. I know some people complain about plastic bristle wands that they're too pokey, but so far I haven't poked myself in the eye. But I can tell that it is a little sharp. When I run it through my lashes, I can feel it, but it doesn't hurt. So I always just do one coat with my mascara, but I like to really work it in. So here's what it looks like with mascara on one eye versus no mascara. I do think it gave me some nice length, even a good bit of thickness at the base, and they're really nice and separated. It is a little more natural looking. It doesn't do a ton on its own, but I'm excited to see what this looks like in combination with the Urban Decay Perversion. So here are the eyes all complete with mascara. I am going to zoom out to show you my lip color and to talk about all of the products. So lastly, we have a lip color, and I will be trying the Maybelline Shine Compulsion lipstick in the shade number 65 Spicy Mauve. I was actually able to swatch these on my Ulta. They had testers, which was odd, but I'm really happy they did because the color looks amazing and they look super shiny. So I'm going to just apply this straight to my lips with no lip liner. It feels super smooth and almost kind of balmy. And the bullet does have a rounded shape, so I'm trying to use the edge to help line my lips because this is a pretty pigmented shade. So here's what this lip color looks like. It was really saturated and it does have a beautiful shine to it. If you guys can see on the bullet itself looks kind of wet when it touched my lips, although I did turn off the air conditioning in here so it wouldn't make noise in my video, so maybe it's just melting a little bit because it's freaking hot, but it feels super smooth and comfortable. I actually am really enjoying the way this feels so far, so I'm excited to see how it wears. I'm not thinking it's going to wear for the longest time because it is a shiny lip color, but I'm excited to try the other shade as well. So this is the final look using all of these products for the first time. So it has been about 2 hours and I wanted to come back to give you my final thoughts on these products. After I finished filming, I got really close up in the mirror to look at my skin. I did just freshly reapply my lip product, so I'm going to run through all of these items again to give you my first impression thoughts on them. So for the Tatcha Silk Canvas Primer, when I get up close in the mirror, I do not notice a difference on the Tatcha side versus the basic silicone primer. It doesn't look any smoother, my pores aren't more blurred, I'm not any more mattified. I really don't see any difference in my skin, so we'll see if that changes the more that I use this sample, but so far I don't get the hype whatsoever. Then for the foundation, I do think it is a good match for me, which is nice. I don't love the coverage of this. When I get close in the mirror, again, I'm able to see that where I have a lot of freckling on my cheek, I'm able to see it through, which makes my cheek products look a little bit more muddy, which is why I tend to cover up my freckles. So I'm not crazy about the coverage, but also I could try to do 2 layers with a brush and maybe that would be better. It's also only been 2 hours and I can already feel my oil starting to come through my T-zone, which is not cool whatsoever. Only 2 hours and I'm freaking inside, so not feeling super hopeful about this foundation, but that's okay. I don't really need to buy another high-end foundation right now. So far, the Makeup Forever compared to the Fenty I tried last month, I much prefer the Fenty foundation. So for my cheek products, I feel like it's a little bit unfair. I am so pissed off about my loose powder not putting enough on where my cheeks were super set, because I think that made my cheek products on this side of my face look blotchy. So I was just trying to compare it on this side of my face where I think I set my makeup much better. So for the Smashbox contour kit, I really like this brightening shade. I think it is a good shade for my skin tone, and it would also work really well for a tan complexion. It would just be more brightening than it is on me. I think that is a really nice powder. I like the shade of the bronzer. The contour is a little more cool tone than I tend to go for, but of course I am wearing a more warm makeup look. This is a shade I'd probably use more in the winter time when I'm wearing cool tone makeup. But what I will do before I update you guys at the end of the month is try mixing these together for a contour and see how I like that shade. But the formula of the powders overall I think is really nice. Very pigmented, a little powdery, but they blend nicely. However, I don't see this becoming my new holy grail bronzer contour product. For the blush, again, I definitely want to use it more because I feel like I wasn't able to get the best representation today with my freaking face powder, but the color is beautiful. I think it looks really nice on the skin. Even though there is shimmer in the pan, it isn't a super shimmery, glowy blush. It just doesn't look like a flat matte. So I do like this. I just want to use it more. For the eyeshadow primer, my eyeshadow hasn't creased yet, which is good, but it's only been 2 hours. And I'm just so on this product. I do think it has some good pigment to it, and it actually did a really nice job of evening out my lids. However, I don't have really bad veining, but it did a nice job of that. But like I said, I had a hard time completely setting the base with shadow. I had to go back in and again and again and again. And then when I was just applying the color on my lid, it didn't feel super sticky like a glitter base. So I don't know if I like the tackiness of that base, but we'll see. I'll definitely use up the whole sample to get my full opinions on it. It's not a bad product, but I just don't see myself buying it, especially because I don't feel the need to have an eye primer with pigment to it. I don't mind having sheer eye primers because I put eyeshadow on top of them. So I'm so on that. For the eyeshadow palette, this is not going to become my go-to palette or anything. I think you have some really great staple shades here. I think the mattes I used today were super beautiful. The lid shade is a little dull for me. I think this will be a nice supplemental palette with other warm shades. It might be nice with some of my ColourPop Super Shocks on the lid. I do like the formula, but I don't see myself knocking down the door to try to get another Lime Crime palette anytime soon, but I was happy with the way that they performed. For the Maybelline Brow Gel, when I get close up in the mirror, it's like my brows look a little chunky, and that this product just clumped my brow hairs together instead of really defining them. So I don't know, maybe it's just user error and I need to work with this more, or maybe I need to try this when I'm using less brow products. I don't know, I'll get back to you, but so far this does not beat out my Holy Grail NYX Tinted Brow Gel in Blonde. Of course, that one doesn't have fibers, but I don't know if fibers are necessary for me because I already have thick brows, so not my favorite, but not terrible. For the mascara, I think it's a fine, natural mascara. My lashes have some nice length, some nice separation, but this isn't a mascara I would use on its own because it's a too natural of a look. Then for the lip color, this is different than it looked when I swatched it. When I swatched it, it looked more rosy, a little more red to it, and on my lips I feel like it looks kind of like a terracotta, but not the kind of terracotta I love. It definitely doesn't look mauve in any way, shape, or form, so if you hear that name, don't assume this is a mauve lipstick. I do think the color is pretty. I want to try it with more makeup looks to see what I think. The formula is super comfortable. It feels like I have nothing on my lips right now. It is very smooth. I like the shine. It makes my lips look juicier, but this lip product was completely gone within 20 minutes, except a little stain left behind, but the actual product gone within 20 minutes, and I wasn't even really talking. I was sitting there watching TV, and I just was like, excuse me, what happened to my lip product? Also, it did bleed outside of my lip line, and I don't tend to have too much of an issue with that, so that surprised me, and I did get some on my chin. So I'm actually the most disappointed, I think, with this lipstick because I thought I was going to be blown away by this formula. It's not bad, but I'm definitely not going to go try to buy every single shade. But as I said, I will try out the other color I have and give you guys my final thoughts on everything at the end of the month. But that is where I stand as of now. So I actually like things less than I did initially, and I think that's because I've just had time to look up close in the mirror, see how my skin looks, and I've been able to see how these wear for a little bit, and so far nothing here that I see as a new holy grail of mine, but nothing here that is absolutely awful. So I would love to know your thoughts if you guys have tried out any of these products in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye guys.